Hello and welcome. You caught me studying today in my own work. And welcome. So it's Get Your Money Shit Together, day 5. Today we're going to talk about tracking your money. And the goal of today is really about getting super clear on what is it that you are communicating to the world, to yourself, to the universe, whatever you believe in, about your beliefs with money and about your values by what you do and how you use your money. So you've heard the phrase perhaps vote with your dollars, and that's all about, we like to think of that of like supporting locally, and all of these are good missions. In fact, I often choose little missions like that and I vote with my dollars. But today it's not about asking you what you should do. There's no shoulds here. There's no, this is the right thing. I'm not going to tell you to save. I'm not here to tell you to spend. I'm not here to tell you to buy a house or not buy a house, or to what to do with your money, or to not buy your Starbucks. Honey, if you love Starbucks, have Starbucks. That's not what today is. Today is about inviting into your life the understanding and the clarity that it comes from simply admitting and acknowledging, looking at where you are and what that's going to mean for you going forward. And so I want to invite you to have an open heart and an open mind in this topic, because what's going to start to happen is as you listen and you're on day 5, you're doing great, you've made it through, and now comes the hard part. Now comes the part when I'm asking you to write down everything you spend. And that means like the $2 something or other, just jot it down. It's okay. Now, I recommend you choose some like good tracking apps or something. Like there's a mint.com and a whole bunch of others. I'm not affiliated with any of them, but choose the one that makes sense and works for you. I have used Mint in the past. I really like it. My personal bank has this tracking now for me, so I use that more. I'm going to tell you, this is an area, may I be super raw here, I don't do well at this part. In fact, I can tell you phases in my life. So you guys have heard there have been some ups and downs, and the story unfolds as you get more of these pieces, I'm sure. But what I really want to highlight for today is that while I've had some ups and downs, if I was a better tracker, if I was just better at paying attention, writing down what I've done, taking a moment to reflect on what's been done, the behaviors that I had that drove me into a failed business and into financial ruin for a while, right? It's only ruined for a while and then we rebuild. But there was a space where I was in financial ruin. And had I been tracking, had I listened to the people who say those who document, what gets documented gets paid, and to understand the power of tracking. A message I was listening to this morning, she said something to the nature of not remembering to look back. So take a moment, look back at the giants that lay behind you. And it was a reference to the story of David and Goliath in the Bible. It's a kid's story. We usually tell it like that. The little boy kills a big giant. And so that reference, look back at the giants behind you. It's like sometimes you just want to take a moment and acknowledge where you've been and where you've come from and where you are, because it can be easy to be where you are right now. I love you. But don't you know, like I do, and I do it. This is why I know that we know better, as she says, but we don't always do better. So I invite you in this space to just stay open, that I'm not asking you to change any of your behaviors or to be different, but to just notice and track and write down who you are, what you're doing, how are you showing up, what's going on in your, when you look at where you're spending your money, what does it tell you about the life you're living, about the choices you're making, about how you feel in life? Because sometimes I can tell you, I can look back when I'm tracking my money or my spending specifically, I start to notice that under periods of stress, I start eating out a lot. Like I start looking at restaurants to support the food that I need. When I'm not under as much stress, I tend to eat at home more and take the time and go to the store and plan my food. And so this is something I've noticed with me, that when I know I'm in periods of high stress, going into that, because stress doesn't have to always be negative. Positive things can be going on in your life, and that's still high stress. If you're pressed for time in a day, that's high stress. So it may be a positive reason, but the body is still experiencing that as stress. And so I will find myself in those high stress experiences reaching for convenience, going back to old patterns, old behaviors. And it was when I started tracking that I was able to identify that and stop these behaviors. And by the way, it has helped my waistline a lot as well, because the restaurants are just not going to feed us what we will feed ourselves at home. So that's another story for another day. So I invite you to keep an open mind, an open heart, open values about this. And so I want to just share with you for a few moments what exactly is happening when you begin to track and why the value of it is really there. And if I can show you its value, I believe that you will be inspired to give it a go. Now, first and foremost, I'm not asking you for the rest of your life to write everything down. I'm not asking you to change any behaviors or to do anything differently. This exercise, starting today, you're just going to start tracking where your money comes in and tracking where your money goes out. Two things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to start to identify the sources of income that you have. And you can also, there's a side note to that, you can actually do an analysis and determine if these are the best income sources for you. There's an income section later in this course. But are these the best ways for you to earn income? Sometimes you'll find that 80% of your effort goes into 20% of your income, and 80% of your income is coming from 20% of your effort. That's a standard rule made up by someone, but it tends to play out pretty well in life. So we keep using it. So, and I can tell you, there was a time in my life when I cut back about 20% of my income. I was a young mom, and, right after the divorce, I went all in, and I was at some point teaching. Well, now I'm basically retired, so I can tell this now. I was teaching for 7 different schools and had 19 classes operating at one time. You can probably guess that I was literally just constantly, I hired an admin to do everything that was non-confidential, that wasn't inside the classrooms, any kind of, like, I need to write some emails. Okay, here, I dictate it. Here, you write these and send them. So lots of things were happening that I needed help, and I was running a big ship, and I was really cranking down the cash. Like, I would find checks, and now this is part of that not tracking. It was a blessing when I found it, but it's really not a good behavior that I'm identifying here when I show this. But I would find $800 and $1,600 checks in the bottom of my purse. I would have deposits coming in that I'm like, what's this for? No idea where it's coming from or why or how it's working. So I really want to highlight that I am not an expert in this. I am not telling you what to do perfect things and be perfect. I have not been perfect. I have found my way into financial success after having financial failure, in part because I was willing to admit where I'm wrong or where I'm not serving myself in the highest way. And then to say, okay, well, I'm going to change that, and to begin at least getting better at tracking and knowing where my money is going. And I will tell you guys, moving and changing and coming to Miami and making a lot of shifts have happened recently in my life. That has caused me to get a little bit relaxed. So the last couple of months, I am sitting in front of you knowing that I have some of my own tracking to go back and do and say, okay, wait, you haven't really been tracking that. And guess what happens when I don't track? I start spending more. And I noticed that I'm not really keeping to my normal spending patterns. I get a little lazy about that. And so that's something that I can change. Now, I'm not in judgment. It's okay that I wasn't tracking. I'm not mad at myself. Remember, when I started this course, one of the first things I asked you for is a lot of grace, because I'm here serving. I'm basically retired saying, hey, I want to give. I want to keep giving. I will still work. I will still keep earning. Sometimes I may even build something really big. Who knows? But for now, I'm sitting in a space of openness and loving what I have created, noticing and acknowledging the giants behind me. And the only reason I can do that is because at some point someone convinced me that I should write some things down, and I started tracking. Now, I will tell you my weakness in this, my tracking doesn't happen in one place. I have a tendency to have lots of journals and and when an idea comes up, boom, whatever journal, whatever pages are in front of me, I just start. Blah. Now, I'm working with that in that I can go back. I'm starting a process where I go back and review the journals and categorize them. I have plans to hire an assistant who will specifically be like my messy creation process tidy upper. I like to make up things like that because no one needs titles around here. So someone to help me basically with the ideas. I have ideas flowing a lot and I don't track them well. And guess what, guys? I haven't been able to do much with them without tracking them. In fact, I want you to understand that this gift that I'm offering to you, this 30-day challenge to join me and get your money shit together, it sparked because a piece of me inside has understood that there's a lot of knowledge in here that I haven't shared. I feel a shift, a calling to something next. I don't know what that exactly is yet. I kind of know, but it's not ready to share. And as I'm allowing that to percolate and marinate inside of me, I realized there's a whole lot of document keeping I didn't do. And one of those is the wealth of knowledge that I carry. And I've been in this money game for over 20 years. I was 19, I'm 44 now, whatever that makes it. Oh my gosh, 25 years now. Wow. So, but I've been in this game for so long, figuring this thing out that, it's worth sharing, and I have something to share. So consider this a legacy piece, if you will, for me. This is my way of writing it down, of documenting some things, some collective wisdom that I've learned over time through my own journey, through being a student. You guys caught me like our live. It was time for the live, and I'm actually studying the money books because I want to begin to bring some of these, and I'm going to share them with you as I finish up today. I'm going to bring some of the learning that I found in books to you, and starting with where I compiled a lot of the things I learned, which is in my own books. And again, today, looking back at the giants behind you, I've written 2 books on my own, plus authored others with other people. Pay attention. Where have you created giants in your life that you already slayed, honey? You know, I'm thinking I haven't written anything down. I have, right? So I found myself judging myself. And then I was like, wait a minute, what about those giants that we already slayed? And then you realize you've done a lot more than you think. So I'm asking you to begin a behavior using your money, tracking your progress, tracking what you do with it, because I'm going to do a lot with it over time, right? So in the worksheets for today, you're actually going to have the tracker, and then you're going to have the extended version, which will carry on with you. And as you continue to track, then I'm going to ask you to go back in incremental periods and notice. And so you can do this for 2 weeks if you want and say, okay, that's enough data. Most people need at least a month because most of us pay what we pay in a monthly cycle. I would recommend a whole season or even a year if you really want to go all in, go a year. There's a book called Your Money or Your Life. Very good book for getting really clear about the power and energy of money and the exchange that happens. And as I said before, money is your life force. It's the storage of your life force so that you can use it somewhere else. If you understand that, then maybe you want to know where your life force is going. And so sometimes when I feel like I haven't done much with my life or whatever, little things like this help me to remember that my life force has gone somewhere. And you know what? I haven't been a good marketer. I haven't tried to master marketing. So a lot of people haven't heard these words yet. There's a lot of wisdom and value in these crazy books that I just felt compelled to write one day, just like this course. I felt compelled to give it to you. And perhaps it'll be discovered long after I'm gone. Who knows? And that's okay, because I'm bringing to you fundamental wisdom and truth that's going to carry throughout your whole life. So whenever you find this, maybe I'm an old 90-year-old lady, call me up. When I was 20, I used to hang out with the 90-year-old ladies at our church. And I actually learned to do the unleavened bread. So those of you who practice the Passover, I learned how to make that unleavened bread. That's what we called it. I don't know. I think it has another name in the Jewish practice, but and participated in that and bringing mindfulness to that. That's another giant, right? So that's how I know that I had that giant. I remember this woman, and I have the recipe box. Again, since my move was recent, I have my recipe box. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have the recipe in her handwriting. Now I'm 44, so this is 24 years ago that I met with this lady who's 90. She's long gone. Her family, grown, and I don't even know them anymore. Yet she's still in my heart, and she's still there. And that's something in my life that I value and treasure. And so as you begin to track your money, as you begin to track what you do with it, where you go with it, what you use it for, pay attention, because there are a few things you're going to notice from this process. You're going to notice what you spend your money on. For me, I notice when I feel stressed, I spend it on convenience items. That means food too, and my body doesn't love that at all. My skin hates it. So when I make those shifts, it shows pretty quickly, right? But tracking that is how I started to understand when I'm feeling some kind of way, I can look back at that and go, oh yes, that's right. I forgot. I don't do it that way anymore. Let me adjust that. So it gives you a tracker to let you know if you are keeping your promises to yourself. It's not about judgment, because you made the goals for yourself. You get to change them, honey. So don't let this become a judgment piece for you. Let it be a reminder, kind of like a reflection. If you look in the mirror and you have bags under your eyes and they're wrinkled, you're probably going, oh, I could use some water, right? So instead of going, oh, I'm bad, I'm old, I have wrinkles, for me, I immediately go, oh, yes, water. Water is what my body needs, because when I start to feel old here, that's one of the indicators that my body has to tell me that I have not been hydrating. Whatever your indicators are, that's how we start to find them. They show up when we track, and then we can start to see patterns. Now, the human brain is literally wired to see patterns. So those of you who are going, oh, well, what if I don't know? What if I can't see the pattern? You will. If you don't see the pattern, you just haven't tracked long enough. Keep tracking. You're going to begin to notice your patterns. And from your patterns, you now can identify and change if you wish, or accept. I've met many people who are like, I just need it to be Starbucks. Like, that makes me feel good. I know it's a silly use of my money. It's a terrible use of my body with the sugar, but I need it. It's what I have to have every day. Okay, do it. It's your money. It's your life force. If your life force comes back to you, and this is the juice of tracking. Okay, are you ready for this? Okay, so I wasn't going to give you this soon, but here we go. So the juice of tracking what you're doing is then you understand where you're putting your life force, and you can decide, does that work for me? Am I okay with putting my life force into this thing? And then more importantly, is this place where I'm putting my life force, is it putting back into me? Is it bringing back into me more life force, more juice, more knowledge, more wisdom, more something else that I have more life force to give, to go out and create more? And so when you start to track, you get to do however you want. But for those of you here, if you're on day 5, look, most people already quit. They registered and didn't do it. Most people, that's like 80%. We know this. That's okay. Then another 10% or so will do about halfway. And so if you're here, you're already 1/6, I think, of the way. Out of 30 days, you're in day 5. You're already almost a weekend. You're doing this. You're already showing that you mean it. So my guess is that you're serious about getting your money shit together. And what that means isn't not spending on it. It's not like a sugar diet. We're not taking a diet here with our money. We're just getting to know it, and we're getting to use it in a more powerful way. Because when we begin to use it in a more powerful way, you begin to allow and to be present with what's going on for you. So I invite you to take this challenge to track yourself. I encourage the 30-day because most of you will do about 30 days and more if you're so inclined, and just 2 weeks if that's all you have in you, just do that. But I invite you to give it a go, to do this, to track your money for 30 days. And once you've tracked it for 30 days, you're going to start to see so many things about your life. And then from there, you just get to choose. It's not judgment. It's not your right or wrong. It's not about taking out anything. It's about understanding this. Oh, okay. This, let's see, get my pad. This is where my life force is going. And am I okay with that? Does that work for me? And if not, you get to make the changes to make that true. All right. So I want to bring you in just in a couple of moments. We're going to spend this time together to be centered, to make whatever commitment you're making to yourself. If you're going to track for 2 weeks, 1 week, 1 day, 30 days, 6 months, a year, whatever that is, I'm going to invite you to make that commitment to yourself right now. If you want to close your eyes, you can close your eyes. If you want to open them and be present, that's okay too. Choose your commitment. How many days are you going to choose to just notice, to just write down what you spend, to allow yourself to see the truth, to not be shamed, but to admit, to acknowledge and see the truth. You've got your number, don't you? I know some of you are trying to wiggle it out. I feel you. Oh, like 30 is a long time. She said a week would work. I feel you. I see you. But that's okay, wherever you are. But that first number that came to you, that's probably your number. And if you can commit there, I promise you it's going to change your life. And then if you want to extend it, you can. Maybe you said 6 months because you're a go-getter, and in 3 months you're like, look, I get it. There's a pattern here. I get it. And you're ready to make some changes. You can be done. You can go back and track anytime you want at another period. There's no right or wrong. Just commit, do it. And please don't forget to hashtag us with Money Challenge at the Gypsy Professor on Instagram. Let us know how your challenge is going, what you're doing. Let us know, and email us too. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For those of you who feel complete, I release you. And those of you who wish for more, I am going to share these books. Okay. Now, on to some goodies. So there are a couple of things I wanted to share. One, I have it missing. It was on my nightstand. So somewhere I have book Your Money or Your Life. I highly recommend that one. Now in it, she tracks to the penny, like I'm tracking every penny. Cool. That's awesome. If you're going to do that, if you have a bank or a software doing that, it's probably easier to do. I'm not good at that. And I'm going to admit that to you right now. So the light lasted just through the call. That's so perfect. So I'm going to say Your Money or Your Life. The principles in it are so valuable and so good. And that is, I play the first place, actually, out of all the books I've written, read, I guess that's foreshadowing. Out of all the books that I've read in my life, I'm going to say that one is the first one that I've noticed that talks about money being your life force. And I've been saying this for a long time, like money is just storing your energy that you put into something. And it's a way we store it to carry it to the next thing we need. And this is the first book that I've seen that acknowledged that. So I just give a shout out to that book for that. And because it really does help change your perspective of like, what's going on and what are you doing with your life and what are you showing, and are you making trades that you don't really need to make, and are you working in jobs that you don't really need to work? this book helped flip my mindset a little bit, and it's why I can sit in front of you today semi-retired, because I understood the value and what I really need versus what it's taking. And I think I need this much, but really half those expenses are because I work in this capacity. So pay attention to that. Your Money or Your Life. Highly recommend that one. I'm sorry that I don't have the information, but I'm sure I'll bring that up at some point in this move. It's going to show up and I'll bring it onto the lives. And then I also have 2 books that I've written, and I wanted to highlight these today specifically because what I'm noticing is that I never talk about them, and they're good. I was looking at them and I'm like, these are really good. What was I thinking? So I'm noticing the light. So let's just turn this way a little bit and try to get rid of some of that light behind me now that this light is gone. Okay, so the first one I ever wrote, I actually did this as an ebook first, and at some point it needed to just be available. And so it's super simple read. It's called The Money Makeover. It's not related to Dave Ramsey. I did not know his titles when I titled it, so it is what it is. It's a money makeover. It's what it is. It's simple. It's just a simple way of kind of getting your money a little differently. Now, if you've studied or learned the Dave Ramsey system, he has a very strong, very reputable system. People love it. Lots of people have changed their lives and made massive impact in life using his system. I'm not good at that. That restriction piece where you cut back almost everything out of life just so that you can have that financial freedom. For me, that doesn't work. So thank you, Dave Ramsey. You're helping a lot of people. That doesn't work for me. So for me, what happened is I was looking for a book to help people understand how to get out of debt, how to create wealth, and then how to leverage passive income. Although now I would never use the word passive. In my wisdom, I would now use the word residual. Because passive, there's no such thing really as passive. Maybe stock investments, but even then you need to watch them. So they're not exactly passive. So the Money Makeover, I just want to give you an idea, like a sneak peek. You can see the words are kind of big, lots of worksheets, places to write. So if you're a journal keeper, there's places for you to track your ideas and so it's super easy read, and it's literally like 120 pages, including the back like this. So it's super short, super easy to read. And more importantly, the feedback I got from this is why I wanted to share it. So from this book, I've had the most people who've read it have said to me, Crystal, this really helped me let go of my judgment of myself. This helped me let go of I'm a bad money, and instead take charge of this is how I got here, right? So the first section is like, okay, so you're in debt. Let's talk about how you got here so that we cannot repeat it. And so it goes through that process of understanding the behaviors that got you into the debt and then how you can change those. So with that, I will say you want to go through this for that. If you're looking for how can I just unhook all the shame and guilt I have around my money situation so that I'm brave and bold enough to just look at it, this is a powerful piece for that. The other part of that is that it takes you through how to then do something about it. So simple ways, and these are realistic ways. This isn't like don't ever eat again, don't ever have your Starbucks again. In fact, let me just give you a quick list. So you can see here, it starts with the philosophy that I have on money, and then how it works, and then it's how many methods? It's 9 methods specifically for eliminating. So the snowball method, the weighing that against your goals, the paying back twice what you spend. So there are some techniques in here that I practiced when I wrote this. I actually was a new college professor and a new single mom. I had been divorced and then gotten a job and just finished my grad school, my doctorate, and I was like $36,000 in debt at the time. Little did I know I was going to crash a business later, but that was a big deal to me at that time. And so I was able to take that $36,000 in debt and on a $50,000 salary, Now, remember, I'm the person who started working a lot. So it really, 50 was really like 87 actually that year. And then the next year I had a 50% increase and then 100% increase. And so life kept going upward. But in that year, all I wanted was to not have that debt. So I took my little 50,000 salary plus the little bit of extra money I made using these principles, and I paid off the $36,000 of credit card debt that I had. And that had just been accumulated and you know, lines of credits and stuff from being a new single mom and trying to make all these things work together and buying a house and all the things. So I was able to do that on very little money. So I never felt restricted. I did it from a place of empowerment, from a place of excitement toward that goal. That was my main focus financially, was to eliminate that. So everything that I had in my hands and I wanted to purchase, I said, do I want that more than I want to be out of debt? Definitely not. And most of the time I walked away. Sometimes I bought the shoes. Sometimes I bought the thing. But that's when I could say that, yes, there's a value in my life that this is bringing, or this is unique and original enough that I couldn't go find it later or whatever. So there were times that I wouldn't, but really it was easy, because when you have your eye on the prize, the rest is easy. So this is a really good starter one. If you're looking to just eliminate some debt, if you're looking to boost your income a little bit, maybe you just want to increase your standard of living. I have some ideas in here for that as well. That's the create wealth part. And leveraging passive income. So it talks about different ways, how to use some of your skills to get paid for them. One of my earliest books, I think I originally wrote this about 15 years ago, and then we revamped it in 2014, I think. The next one is called The Money Shot. So this one, I was actually in the world of sports and helping professional athletes when this one came to be. And so I put it on the shelf for a while because I really got into the space and decided it wasn't really a good fit for me. I love the athletes. I love supporting and helping them, but I found it was long too late by the time they've already gone pro. There's a lot of voices in their heads by then and a lot of people to sift through. And I wasn't interested in that. Someone else will do that. I'm more interested in, let me put it out there, and those who are really looking will find me. And so I wrote this when I was in that space, and I actually put it on a shelf and said, you know what, I don't need this book because I'm not doing that market. But then as I started to review it, a couple of things happened. First of all, it's got a lot of good stuff. And I realized that I wrote this for athletes who were professionals. So I created examples using a baseline of a $2 million income. Obviously, the average person doesn't make a $2 million income, but what I started to notice, you could take the principles I have in here and you just remove that zero, or 2 zeros, even if like you really don't have a lot of money, and you can kind of get the same basic idea. So I encourage you to use this for those financial principles. This one is more about like, hey, I have issues. I need to get out of debt. I need to increase my income. That's what this one's about. This one is about more being smart with your money, knowing what to do and how to do it. So the Money Shot comes in with some topics. I'm going to share a few of them here with you. So you can see the first section is all about understanding money. So you're going to get an idea of what is wealth, kind of like what you're getting here. But you're also going to learn about compound interest and what to do when your time is up. Like, okay, that gig is up. What's next? And now that we're in a gig economy, this book is even more fitting than it was a few years ago, because athletes, I was speaking to them as in like, okay, but it's a short gig. Like it's only going to be an average of 3 years. You have to make all your savings. Well, you guys don't have to do gigs of 3 years. You're going to keep going. But understanding the value of when you do get a big gig, preparing and planning and using that gig to set you up for your future. And so this is really, really powerful for that. And then the second section of this is all about mistakes to avoid. So y'all, I go into love and what to do about love and money. And I love it because I feel like it's truth and raw and it's down and dirty. And Anyone who's out to take advantage of you is not going to love it that you have this book, but anyone who truly loves you is going to love it. Like, hey, I want you to make those principles. We're in this together, and I want you to make good choices and consider my role. And so I address love and money in this, and also being smart with your money and who to trust and how to know who to trust with money. And, so many, it's kind of like diets. Everybody's telling you, do this, do that, do that, do this. And some of it's legit. Not all of it's legit. And then in the section 3 of this book, and this is the part where some of you who, like, you came to this course, maybe not because you don't have your money shit together. Like, your spending is good, you have good money flow, but then what? You don't know what to do with it now that you have excess. And so this is a really good book for those of you who find yourselves in a place of, I'm starting to have excess and I don't really know how to be smart with what I do with my excess. If you're looking to get excess, the Money Makeover. If you're looking to use your excess wisely, the Money Shot. And as I went back through these, and these strategies that are in section 3 are really powerful ways for you to find a way to get your money busy. And I told you before, money likes to be busy. Invite money to your party and it will come. And this shows you some ways to get your money busy. So I hope these are helpful. I saw these today, and as we were talking about tracking and getting credit for what you have done, it made sense that this was a good time to share some of the resources that I have. If you are looking for this, here's what I'm going to say. If you can afford to buy this book, as in you have income at all, and if you can buy it, go on Amazon and buy it. Support a sister, man. Like, show and do reviews and all the things and all the stuff that I do for all of my friends. And if you really, really, really want to make a difference in the world, you know that you have to get your money right to be able to have that base, and you cannot really spend the money on a book right now, this is not really it for you at this moment. We'll get you there, but you let me know. You hit me up, do the hashtag money challenge, tag me the gypsy at the Gypsy Professor on Instagram, and say, hey, I'd really, really like a free book, and I will be happy. All I need is somewhere to send it, and I'll be happy to send you a book. I do believe in giving and giving from the heart, and if you are hungry, that's enough. That's all I ask for. Be hungry, want it, and if you really mean it, and you're going to use it, and you're ready to make a change, and you can't go on Amazon and do it for yourself and buy it, I got you. Just let me know. All right, guys, that's all for me today. Thank you. And thank you to the workers outside for cooperating. We had no noise during the live. Have a wonderful, blessed day. I'll see you tomorrow.